Okay, everyone from MAGFAST, I hope you guys had a great event so far today on that Friday and Thursday. Props to the MAGFAST team for fine show and all the runners that I was able to see. My name is St. Von Jester. I am remote because I could not be there this week. I moved, unfortunately, so I was not able to attend. But I am here to give you Symphony Night Randomizer. This is one of my personal favorite randomizers that we have, that I've ever played. With me and commentating, you'll be able to hear their voices soon, is 50 Keys and Dark Moon EX. And they're going to be the ones you're going to be hearing most of the run. So I will let 50 Keys take it away. Go ahead, man.
Hi, everybody. So hopefully everybody already knows what this game is. But for those who don't, Symphony of the Night is a big Metroidvania entry into the Castlevania series of games. Came out in 1997. And it's been remade a number of times. I know I've bought it at least 5 times. We'll get into more of the details as we go through, but I think some of the bigger things to start off with. So we had a donation for name incentive here, and SVJ is going to be putting in what appears to be a series of random characters.
What are those? It's
but
X
in reality,
-X, right? What else is it? V? Got the whole code.
You're supposed to know this.
So he's going to be putting in what's called luck mode on Soten, which is going to drastically alter his stats, make things a little bit more challenging, but give him some luck at the start of it.
Yeah, I gotta find. I had it all written down and I lost it.
That's okay. I've got it here if you want.
I got it right there. There we go.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so there's going to be 99 luck, formerly 14, 25 HP, which is a significant reduction in it from the maximum 80 previously. 1 MP, so his spells are not going to be very good. 5 hearts as opposed to 60. 1 strength, 0 constitution, and 0 intelligence, which is very, very bad.
Yeah, so I'm pretty squishy.
Yeah, very squishy.
That looks like a perfectly normal name.
And the other thing to keep in mind too here is that both Dark Moon EX, who's co-commentating here, and SVJ are donating per death, and an additional death if they die, or if SVJ dies before he reaches the first save point, which is very, very likely in this one.
Exactly. Yep. I'll be donating $10 per death. It'll be up to you guys in the community, you chat in the community, to decide if the doppelganger counts as an a la carte death.
It always does.
Yeah, if it does, then it does. And since it is all bosses, definitely $20 there then, if that's the case. I believe Dark Moon's doing something else.
Yeah, I'm going to donate $1 per death. I will donate $10 if you die before you get to the first save point, because that is funny. And then I will donate $5 for every relic card we actually force St. Von Jester to pick up.
Yeah, so that's the devil, the fairy, the sword, the bat, all that stuff. Yep,
yeah.
So.
Yep.
All right, I got the code ready. I believe we are ready to go. If you guys want to count me down, and I'll start it up.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go. So moving quite quickly into the game, the first stage is actually not played as Alucard. It's played as Richter, and it's sort of the end of a previous game, which ties it into the earlier series. There's a few things here that he will typically want to do, not so much because this is luck mode.
We're going to watch this, though.
Monster.
Yes.
You don't belong in this world.
Most glorious script.
By my hand,
We have to watch this one.
Given flesh.
Heck yeah.
I was called here by humans who wish to pay me tribute.
Which they are.
Tribute? You steal men's
I love the
souls
scenery
and
chewing
make
here.
them your slaves.
Disagree, old man sunshine. This is amazing
Perhaps the same
acting.
could be said of all religions. Your words are as empty as your
Every
soul.
other version of this game is
Mankind
inferior
will
because
need
they
a
redo this
savior
intro.
such as you. What is a man?
What is a man?
A miserable little pile of secrets. But enough
Best line in the entire series of games. So again, one of the things that you typically see in a randomizer here is you'd be wanting to enter the fight with 41 hearts, leave the fight with 0 hearts, end with the cross as opposed to the holy water, which he has, and take no damage and finish within 1 minute. So a lot of these don't matter because that's for maximizing stats, and because of the luck mode, it's not going to affect it. You may also see what are called damage stacks, where when the item crash of holy water comes out, and the holy water is also thrown, it actually does damage on every frame, which is faster than typical.
Yeah, I just missed him.
So another thing worth noting, as this is the randomizer, what has been randomized? Well, all of the item drops from all of the enemies have been randomized. We also have a random location of all the relics in progression, which means everything from the 5 Dracula relics, which are required to fight Dracula and beat the game, through to Spikebreaker armor, Soul of Bat, Soul of Wolf, all of these things that allow him to move. It looks like he's starting off with a Mournblade, which is nice. It's got a HP recovery effect for damage, which may help him get through. He has picked up $100 there. We don't necessarily need money in this game. However, often the shop is the best place where you can equip yourself. You're going to want to try and get there with money. And the relic in the shop may be relevant. So the relic in the shop costs $500, and it could be any number of items. Because of the complexity that this has been set to, it's unlikely he's going to get fast movement like that anytime early. So it'll be really interesting to see how this plays.
We're not going with Death Skip?
No, I didn't practice it.
Yeah, so there are a couple opportunities for Death Skip, especially with it being luck mode. If you take a significant portion of your HP and damage, you're going to get what's called a big toss, where the enemy will actually knock you. And if you set it up correctly with the wolf, it'll knock you through the death scheme, and you won't lose your starting equipment. There's also the opportunity sometimes to start off with a library card, like this. Oh, that's a meal ticket.
Yeah, it tricked it.
A library card will allow you to work to the long library, which would also skip past the death cutscene. One of the things that's kind of interesting about this game is the version he's going through right now is the intro until an ice brand is a great weapon to start with. And these two enemies will always have consistent drops, so it's a luck potion, which is not really useful considering he has 99 luck, but a leap stone is really nice mobility early on. So something to keep in mind too, or rather, what I was saying is now that he's left that space, a different version of that entrance is now loaded with completely different enemies. The wargs are gone; it's just the zombies. But there's added bloody zombies, and Slogger and Gaibon, which are actually a boss, now take the place of where Death was. So that space is now a completely different version in the game state, which is interesting.
Oh, money.
So doing a couple item check here, very nice to see a Garnet. That's going to sell for 5,000. It's definitely going to get him the relic, and it may get him an excellent opportunity. Ooh, and 2 great drops. We were seeing the luck mode paying off somewhat significantly here. Is he going to go IQ check? Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to go check these.
Depending on how you race and who you race, this is something that, you never know. It could be a boat. It could be anything, and it was a library card actually a few nights ago. And there's some armor, which is nice because of the low defense that we had already talked about and the low HP. So there's a few things that he's going to be continuing to look for. There's some top tier item that's obviously things that we want. Duplicator is one of them. An Alucard mail is really nice because it has the resistances to fire, lightning, and ice. If you're resistant to it, you're going to take only 1 damage. We're going to look for a Duplicator. We're going to look for, hopefully, a Crucicrim, Rings of Varda. These are all high-end equipment that'll, first of all, help him. But second of all, they'll be good enough for the Dracula fight, which can be very, very difficult on luck.
Well, let's hope
and because we're on luck, he actually does need that life max up.
He absolutely does. And the other thing to keep in mind too here, we are going to get probably a lot less levels than you would get as part of a casual playthrough. While we are doing all bosses, it would not be unusual for him to end with HP under 300. So there's a lot of risk involved, and the better gear he can get, the earlier he can get that. Obviously, that's better.
One down, one to go.
So this is the Slogger and Gaibon fight. A number of ways to approach this. Some use spells. Obviously, that's not an option so much.
Soul Steal is where you would use
he
that
is
for.
gonna grab, exactly, yeah. He is going to get the life max up again. He's almost doubled his health from the start.
Anyone who remembers those bosses from Castlevania 4, Slogger is much easier here. Gaibon's about as useless as before. Gaibon is not a very difficult
if you have a
boss.
shield,
Yes.
Gaibon is very useless. All of his projectiles can be stopped with a shield, even a leather shield. You'll also notice that he is backdashing. This is faster than moving straight forward. The reason he's slashed at the bottom left there's typically an item there, a use item, but because of how things are randomized, sometimes things end up with empty slots, and they're not there. So we're now heading into the Marble Gallery, and we're going to get our second check shortly, which will be what is previously Spirit Orb.
You may also notice that the music is also randomized.
Yes, that's a good note. So music is randomized. We can sometimes end up with some absolute bangers. Unfortunately, only on boss fights. And he's also checking the items up top there to see if there's anything worth it. Sometimes there's, you could get diamonds. A Mana Prism is an excellent draw. Mana Prisms are one of those items that we definitely want to see a lot of towards the end game. Once you have faster forms of movement like that, you're going to want to use Mana Prisms to refresh yourself. Cube of Zoe is a nice grab. It's a great way to get cash off candles. The library has item drops off candles. And, sub-weapons can actually be very, very viable in this game. And there's a shield drop, so he's going to equip that, and he's going to almost immediately start moving a lot faster using a technique
Shield dashing, yeah.
Dashing. So you can see by backdash, he cancels the backdash by bringing out the shield. I'm probably explaining this incorrectly, and I apologize.
Yeah, you're
You'll also
doing the
notice
best
he's
you can.
breaking some of the candles. That's because the Dark Shield is one of a number of shields that actually deal damage when it's being pulled out and used. So there's the Dark Shield. The Medusa Shield is also useful for things like the Doppelganger fights. And with the Shield Rod spell, there's a couple of things that will also deal significant damage to everything on screen. Skipping the Scimitar or the Battle Air?
The Battle Air, I believe it was.
Yeah. And making his way up to Alrox's quarters now. Right now, he's not actually going to be able to do much other than Colosseum, although he gets a Girthang drop, which is really, really nice. Girthang, high-spec sword that when you cast Dark Metamorphosis will increase its damage power, and he's going to do a few item checks here to the right. So Alrox's quarters leads to the Colosseum on the left-hand side. He may or may not grab the teleporter for Alrox's quarters, but ultimately he's not going to be able to complete a portion of what's going on here.
I'm gonna grab that. See, I'm gonna grab it. The shortcut. What's really bad is I have not saved it yet. So if I die, this is just bad.
You notice this?
Yeah,
this is all on you, dude.
This corridor is very, very dangerous. These are high-end enemies that hit really hard. If he didn't have that Alucard shield, that could have done easily half of his health and big toss him. So this is a warp point. There's several within each castle, and we'll talk about each castle when we get to the big twist in the middle of the game.
There's a twist in this game?
But essentially,
spoilers.
Don't tell them.
Oh, sorry.
Spoilers. Everything is perfectly fine, and don't ask questions. So this brings him back to entrance. He's going to open this. He may or may not grab a safety save. This is the marathon. He is grabbing the safety save.
Yes, I am.
Which is fantastic.
He just doesn't want to pay the $10 is all it is.
I'm paying 50.
No.
Oh, 50 for this if you failed?
Yeah.
Yeah, spoiler from 1997, Old Man Sunshine. And jumping off that candle lets him look at the toadstool. No one really cares about it, and we're probably going to see him walk back to Alrox's quarters now.
Yeah, the shield dashing isn't as bad for his controller as if you play Richter mode and just completely destroy your controller with everything
I mean,
Richter has
you're
to
lucky if you just destroy your controller on Richter mode. You could also just destroy your hands.
do. There's that too.
Richter has a whole series of inputs, and as of right now, is not part of the randomizer, but there is someone working on that, if I understand it correctly. Richter has unique inputs like blade dashing, double jumps, blade uppercuts.
It's
and a
very
lot of other
stylish.
skills. It's very cool, and it would be very interesting to see that introduced into randomizer. But if you're doing an any percent run with Richter, it is very, very hard on your body and your control.
Hell on everything is what it is.
So yeah, we're seeing him enter the Coliseum. We really only care about one item here, and that is it's a fairy scroll, so we don't care.
But we have to kill the boss.
Are you going up to keep? If you right, you do. My apologies. Are you going to go up to keep from here as well?
I want to go.
100% bosses, not 100% items.
Yep.
Hey, Doozy.
It's a good thing your armor is so good, because man, you're just tanking this damage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame for some for some of us who'd like to see you die more. No offense. And yeah, grabbing another safety save. About to go into a fight which can go sideways really, really quickly, especially at 43 health on luck mode, and without a lot of the spells that you'd have in terms of safety. So this is going to be the Minotaur and Werewolf fight. And we're also going to get a little bit of plot. Whether or not we see it is one thing.
You can watch it.
Well, by watching it, though, you actually give the bosses a chance to do something.
So you also see something here, which is Richter, the person we played with at the start of the game, and he's now summoning evil monsters. So, very, very crazy. And he's referring to it as his castle. So one of the things that is worth noting about this game is it's very light on story. There's a lot of depth to it, but there's... sorry, I'm just going to stop so that SVJ can focus on the fight.
Oh, well, that's not good.
You're going to want to hit them with that. The other way.
Other way. Oh, no, not anymore. So this is going well.
Great!
There's
right,
one.
So our first death. It's one.
Maybe don't watch the cutscene.
Yeah, so that's worth knowing. We can talk about the plot. It doesn't take very much. So like I said, this is a very plot-light game. It tells a really interesting story with very minimal dialogue. There's realistically only a handful of characters. Some of them speak very little. But we'll go through the plot as we get through the game, and it's quite honestly, I love the story, and I love the simplicity of it. This is a game that, it's been out for 25 years, and I still love to play even casually.
Yeah, these particular bosses have a quirk to them where by skipping the cutscene, they just kind of hang around for a bit, still waiting for their mark before they actually decide to move around. So giving you an opportunity to get some free damage in.
Yeah, especially noticeable on the Minotaur, where if you just start slicing right at him, it goes it goes like that, which is a lot easier.
Yes. So that's better.
And again, once you have Minotaur down, this becomes a significantly easier fight. Werewolf has a very, very close range pattern. There are some long range attacks, but they're relatively easy to dodge. I mean, most of the time.
Got it!
There we go. Clean fight, first try.
First try!
Sure.
Again, grabbing the health max up because luck mode, and hey, we've now more than doubled our
I'm not getting that book.
No. So the book that he's talking about is the Fairy Scroll. All it does is tell you the names of the enemies, and I think we've all played this game far too long to know all the names of the enemies anymore.
I'm gonna save it.
I mean, that's a choice. So he's opening shortcuts. There's a number of things like this in an entrance where you can't. They are one way the first time you go through them, but once you've opened them, you can go back another way. It's going to be really important for a lot of the backtracking that's required as he gets progression items he needs to go.
Yeah,
So
many
from
of those
here, I think
Metroidvania
it's
aspects.
safe to say you're heading to Keep
Yes.
through Chapel.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So now we're in Chapel, which there's a lot of enemies here which are just pains in the butt. But there is a life max up for him to grab here, which is nice.
I'm gonna check out these items over here.
Yeah, and it looks like he's also checking out all the items in the staircase. There's a lot of checks here, which could potentially have some very good items for him. These are some of the enemies that we were talking about as being terrible, terrible people. You're meant to traverse this actually from the bottom, and
Yeah.
some of these are quite difficult. But as you can see, if you get the spiked ball going and just follow along with it, it's quite entertaining. Work smart, not hard.
Exactly.
Mirror Curious Omelet. I think the only thing I saw there was a potential library card, and then one final item check over here, which is another shield. But the Dark Shield is definitely the best option on the table right now.
A couple of health, life ups if he cared, but we're probably not coming back from. Well, you get that one.
Some of them
I
I can
actually
grab.
don't think you can reach the library card with just double jump.
Pixel perfect accuracy. Come on.
That's okay. I don't need it.
Prove me wrong. You did go back for them. My bad.
I only have 75 health, man. I will take all the health I can get right now.
That's after like 6 of those things too. So Alucard is just juicing, and now you know why. So for those who couldn't figure out from the absolutely impossible to decipher cipher, Alucard is Dracula's son, and
What?
his name is just Dracula backwards. First introduced, actually, if I recall correctly, in Castlevania 3. And
this
there's
version of the
a
character.
reference that gets made to the game, yeah.
Yeah, the origin of the name itself comes from the Universal film Son of Dracula, where Dracula spelled his name backwards and everyone was very confused by it. It's a dumb movie.
I mean, you say that, but I absolutely appreciate Dark Moon EX coming in with the deep lore. And we're going to make our way over. There's a lot of item checks that could be made in the attics, or the tops of the chapels. And we're going to be seeing a hippogriff fight in the near future.
For those curious, in Son of Dracula, the only time that Dracula was played by Lon Chaney Jr. He was good in the movie, but it's terrible.
So something else you'll notice in terms of his sub-weapon is SVJ just picked up the stopwatch. The stopwatch is going to come in handy on at least 2 boss fights, most notably DOP 40 and DOP 10, which have a few unique aspects to them.
They're special.
They act very much like Alucard in that they have iframes or invincibility frames after taking damage. You can't really stack on damage quickly. However, if you freeze time, that doesn't apply.
And for some reason, the stopwatch works on the doppelgangers.
Yeah, the stopwatch doesn't work on all enemies, but it does, if I recall correctly, require 15 hearts. So we may see SVJ be pulling up some heart max ups if he sees them.
Yeah, I thought about it. I found one, but I chose not to.
You got to ensure that extra Alucard death, though.
And you're also seeing sometimes the special attack of the Ice Brand, which is that charged up slash. So a number of swords on the higher and mid tiers have these special attacks. And an opal, more money. They deal higher damage. They're also, depending on depending on the sword, very, very useful for things like iframe. Two of the top end Alucard sword and Masamune have a dash attack that makes Alucard invisible for a period of time. And it looks like we're going to be getting Jewel of Open, which is required to open blue locked doors and will open caverns.
And also the door of the chapel, which doesn't matter to us now.
Yes, and also the door for silver ring check, which we can't get to yet because of the spikes and the mist gate. But it is one part of it down. So again, the way that this is working, and he's going to double back to make sure he gets that. Here's the classic RPG Jerkbirds, first of many, which can just make this area a pain in the ass.
But SVJ could absolutely jump kick off of all of them and make his way up north. See, easy every time.
If I could kill them, I can't even kill them. I don't know if I can jump off.
Yeah, so there is an opportunity to jump kick and get to Power of Mist, vanilla location out of sequence. It is not easy to do.
No.
In most cases, it's not practical to do.
We're not going for practical here, though.
Or at least try. We can hit into it. Yeah, I have to kill them in order to do that, and I can't.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to do that unless you're strong enough to kill them with a kick, which would require a higher strength than you're going to have.
No, I haven't.
At this point. You may actually have just already dealt damage to that one. It may not be.
I think you did.
You're one-shotting it.
Ruin a kid's dream. Oh, there we go.
Yeah. So at the very least, there's more options on the table. And the way that complexity works on things like this is that we have levels of complexity. And right now, SVJ is on what's called complexity level 3. So first level of complexity is everything that's available without any mobility. The second is what's been opened as a result of getting the leap stone, which would be the Jewel of Open in the keep. So with that being said, it's likely that progression lies in the caverns, and we're about to see him go down to caverns and unlock those. As you can see, those enemies, even though he's gotten more levels since, still pack a wallop if they hit you in the wrong way. That hammer in particular.
Hey, you have the hearts for the stopwatch now.
Yep. That was intentional.
And are we going to see the Alucard checks?
We are.
Excellent. So, not typically seen in this format, but he happens to have stopwatch, and if you use it in the clock room, the right side opens up, which has 3 item checks, at least one of which here has been useful. 4 item checks, my apologies. And, turquoise isn't terrible, and cloth cape is better than no cape.
He looks fabulous now. The randomized cape colors.
The cape colors are also randomized, which is pretty swag sometimes. Which will also affect how he looks when he transforms into Bat much later. So we're now at a point where I would say SVJ is equipped as expected for the level of difficulty or the areas he's in. We're gonna move though, possibly to catacombs.
We will. I have a boss to kill up here, so I might as well go to the library first.
Yeah, absolutely. Once we move to catacombs, things can get a lot messier. So this is a really long hallway. These are Diplocephalus, Diplosaurus, Diplos. Some of the more risque sprites of Soten, though by no means the most. And here's the Stone Rose. So those shots earlier that come down can petrify. There's a number of ways past them, but he has a very, very solid cut weapon. They're weak to cut, and it's just faster to cut through.
I had to get more hearts.
Why not? Even more money.
Yeah, so it's very possible the library has some tasty stuff.
Hey, Ben.
And with the diamond, which sells for 20,000 gold, he will be able to afford pretty much everything except for the duplicator item. Now, the duplicator item slot costs 500,000 or 300,000, but it's generally unreachable in this format. Now, that being said, everything in the item shop is randomized, so you never know what you're going to get. And here we're going to see the Doppelganger 10 fight, which is taking his stats at level 10 to populate that enemy.
I didn't realize that's what the numbers meant.
Yes.
Interesting.
So as you can see, he was able to deal damage quite quickly. And, if we don't see him mess up until what would be a reverse, or the Doppelganger 40 fight, it would typically knock him away and give him probably about 1.5 seconds of iframes that can make it just really, really slow as a boss fight. There are a number of presets that we aren't playing today, obviously, such as Lycanthropy, which you start with wolf movement, Warlock, which gives you mist and cheaper spells, Nimble, which starts you off with bat, and so we'll typically skip boss fights, but with the all bosses incentive met, that's not the case here.
Oh, that's $5 for Dark Moon. I found you. I'm gonna go grab. I have to go open it up first. I just learned this the other day too. That instead of I was usually slashing at this, just move into it.
Yep. You can backdash into it. You can use your shield for the double hit. A lot of people will go up there and soul steal because it also cracks the bot and lets them see what's up there. Everybody does it differently. There's no wrong way. But it is interesting to see people will learn more about the game as they do these things.
$5 from Dark Moon.
Woo!
Boom. Collecting all the Pokemon cards. Our first is Bat. So these cards are familiar cards. They're relics in this game, which are generally not useful, especially in this format where we're not leveling them up. They're a lot of fun and casual. We may see the fairy card get used, because if there's items like Life Apple for sale or a drop, you never know. So one of the items here is a drop, so let's resist dark. And we have an Obsidian Sword, which is also just a nice two-hander.
We could get chat to do a little bid war and try and get you to turn on one of the familiars and start using them.
I'd be okay with that.
I'll kick $5 in if you turn the bat on.
So one of the cool things about the Bat card is that when you eventually transform into Bat, depending on the level of the Bat card, one or more bats will join you. And there's a $2,000 drop, which is just giving more and more cash here.
I really love the bat in this one. Like, the bat will spit fire when you get the fire of bat. So you get like 2 bats. It's like a shmup almost. You get more bats as you level them up. So it's a huge dumb thing. And actually, frankly, the bat's not that useless on his own, just flying around attacking things.
And familiars can be very helpful in Second Castle if you're doing stair climb and the imps or gremlins are just being difficult. There we go, grabbing that back. He's now cursed, which means he's not allowed to use items or attacks. So this is going to wear off over time. It is a function of his constitution, which is set really low, and will continue to be a pain in the ass for him. So go curse.
It was funny.
All right, Poison Gas Cloud, which is not useful right now, but once he gets the Mist transformation, it will deal damage based on his intelligence. And can, again, just be useful for clearing out some of the enemies and some of the boss fights. So there is a way here, and we're going to see it. Excellent. So this is actually out of logic. So it means that he got an out of logic Vlad. This Vlad will either require flight or gravity boots in order to reach.
And to explain, you need the 5 Vlad items scattered around the 2 castles, one castle, spoilers, to actually get into Dracula and win the game.
What do you mean Dracula? Our enemy is Richter here.
Dracula is just
Gerald the
Richter spelled
jewelry buyer
backwards.
for my Canadian friends. And as you can see, he is flushed with cash. Another Vlad at start. It's great. It's a Tooth of Vlad, which is going to increase his strength and up his damage. And he's going to do a quick perusal of what's available in the shop. There's a couple things we'd like to see. I think we talked about Duplicator, which obviously is an easy choice. Sometimes we also want to see things like a Shield Rod or a Mob Lung, Alucard Shield, high-end items that just sort of cheese out the game. With that Duplicator, and I'd go Buffalo Star.
Yeah, some
Star, yeah.
Just to make sure there's nothing else in here.
Monster Vial is a great way to kill Drac. I'd really recommend showing that off if you have the opportunity.
Hilarious.
Yeah. Absolutely hilarious. So, very, very cool. Very fortunate for him. But, you know, there is a bit of hope here. One of the things worth noting with the Duplicator is you're going to see his defense drop to 1. The Duplicator has a significant penalty on your defense and your luck, actually, but he's got 99 luck, so he doesn't really care about it.
And then we should, at some point, if SVJ knows it, we can see Buffalo Star dashing.
Oh, I've never I've done Buffalo Star dashing before.
Yep,
It's
you can do it just like shield dashing.
You know how to shield dash? Just like that.
Yep.
So, again, Duplicator is really nice because it lets us use things like Mana Prisms ad infinitum. It lets us use the damage items that you're seeing.
It's a very
right
good
now.
dance move there, SVJ.
Nice. I don't think it curse anymore.
It's also going to let him use recovery items. And the other big one that we may see, hopefully, is with affectionately known as Pictures of Dad in the
Daddy!
community.
Daddy loves us.
Power of Sire. Power of Sire is a very, very powerful use item that clears the screen and does some very heavy damage. Power of Sire can 3-shot Shaft, which is the second last boss of the game. Very, very nice to see that on a Duplicator. It can make a lot of areas in the later stages of the game.
The magical power of Dracula's signed headshots.
There's nothing more dangerous than family photos. I do want to see dad pics, Doozy.
For those photosensitive, I did turn off the flashing, so that's why I used Soul Steel not too long ago and nobody saw it.
Yeah, that's something else worth noting. We as a community, there's a number of people who have been adding huge value and have just been absolutely amazing in what they're contributing. We see a lot of minor updates that include, quality of life changes, avoiding soft locks. As we just mentioned, or as VJ just mentioned, some of these items and spells come with a flash, and sometimes we have to issue a seizure warning. It's nice to see that the community is heavily involved in improving that.
Doesn't eat ice cream.
Community, no one eats ice cream. Doesn't like ice cream. Speaking of the community, shout out to Soten.io, which is the randomizer webpage, and it has a link there for the long library, which is all things Soten and all things Castlevania. A lot of amazing people, at least daily races. If you're looking to get involved or learn to play this, or just casually run some randomizers, there's lots of really knowledgeable people on there who are happy to get you in there. Save here at the bottom of caverns, and I don't know. We're gonna see a Scylla fight.
Yep, we have to.
Okay.
All bosses.
You could leave it till later.
I could, but where's the fun in that? It's right here. There's an item behind it.
Yeah. So,
routing.
Yep. So that's only the first portion of the boss, although the second portion of the boss is just as fragile.
Very, especially when you're throwing Buffalo Stars at it.
Absolutely. So something else worth noting, you do see the tracker on the right-hand side that has all of his relics. One of the relics that may be of use to him at a later date. Ooh, Alucard Shield. Okay. Very, very nice.
Let's get a shield rod and break the game, why don't you?
Absolutely. We would love to see that. Is the holy symbol, the holy J, the snorkel, whatever you want to call it, which prevents him from taking damage in the water. Right now, when Alucard is in the water, he does take damage.
And SVJ doesn't have that much health to waste on the water.
Yeah, precisely. So we're gonna see, and a Skill of Wolf, which is one of 3 wolf relics.
I love the wolf
so we're
relics,
gonna
my
probably
favorite.
see some less than optimal ability. This water is too shallow to deal damage. I'm sure you'll see it later as he progresses left.
Alucard can get his feet wet, but the second he gets his knees wet, it's all over.
He doesn't like baths.
As soon as your knees get wet, the water just seeps up. Orange
Gets
there
into his
and
boots.
Heart Math up.
I'll have to do this one.
This one always entertained me. Just drown them.
Yep. Drown. There.
Go back,
you
go.
can, you're familiar. Do the work.
Go back,
there's
go.
a lot of interesting ways to get past that, including short-circuiting a Hellfire spell. Sometimes you'll see people soul steal if they're running low on health. Again, one of the things that's really interesting about this, and I keep using the word interesting, sorry. One of the things that's really fun to watch about Stoughton races and the Stoughton community is everybody plays differently. And it's a lot of fun to see how a lot of people will tackle the same problem in very different ways. Now, you're going to see him come over and press a button on the left-hand side here.
Okay, let me try to make it.
This is going to on a Skeletonate who's going to blow up this bridge. 3 weeks ago, someone found brand new tech for this game. It's been out for, 25 years. That actually found if we have a second controller that has been plugged into slot 2 on the PSX, or indeed on the emulator, and we press triangle on that controller, it will break this bridge on its own.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's like last 2 weeks, 2-3 weeks is when we've seen it. It's a game changer for a lot of routing, especially in seeds where you've got the way back up. There's the possibility of getting soft lock depending on what you're running, but it's really, really interesting to see that these things are still getting found even now, and that's and that's spurred a whole group of people looking now at what else happens when we have controllers plugged in the second and when they press everything. So there's the community has mapped some of their stuff to their controllers, and we may see future developments on that as well. Making very quick work of Cerberus. As you can see, the duplicator with the Buffalo Star is just an absolute dream of a boss killer.
Won't lie, I was really kind of hoping that would accidentally kill that skeleton ape and ruin SVJ's plans.
I would have been very upset, and the bat would have gone away.
Worth the $5.
Oh, there we are.
All right, so
There
we
you
have
go.
flight in logic. So gravity boots allows us to do a very quick upward momentum. Because we have the leap stone, we can do that repeatedly. And so the logic of the seed is now saying you can reach areas accessible by flight.
That makes that
Memory
that
card.
that flight vlog that we got up in the library. That would have been the one that we would get after these boots. So that would be what, complexity 5 then on that?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So again, it would be complexity 5 because we're going or complexity
steps.
4, right? Leapstone, Jewel of Open, flight
From double jump.
and then grab it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna make our way over to. It's in this game. It's called Grand Falloon. In every other Stoughton game or in every other Castlevania game, it's called Legion.
It's Legion.
But it's Legion.
I'm gonna need that.
It's the obligatory let the bodies hit the floor meme. And again, just very, very nice to see the duplicator making short work of everything here. But by no means is SVJ out of the woods. There are a lot of things that can go sideways. Like I said, his HP is, or his defense is still so low as a result of the use of it.
Pork bun!
For those curious with the deep lore, Grand Falloon likely comes from a Kurt Vonnegut novel, reference to a term he used in one of his books, and of course Castlevania likes to make all kinds of really weird references, especially in Symphony of the Night, where many of the items come from Tolkien lore and all kinds of other fantasy lore, mythology, and in one case, Kurt Vonnegut.
Thus making the further case for Soten as part of literature. Yes, Doozy. Alright, so making his way into the fight, and the way this boss works is there's an armor of bodies around that you're going to have to get rid of first. And then there's a juicy nougat center of Legion itself, which fires lasers, obviously, because...
Now he's dead!
Yeah, like, it's very difficult boss to deal with normally, but I mean, not really, but in this particular instance, not difficult at all.
Yeah. And one of the other reasons we defeat Grand Falloon is there is an item down here. It's likely not part of... Oh, perfect, it's the Holy J.
Snorkel.
Snorkel.
Which, from what I understand, is actually referred to as the holy symbol in the Japanese as well, as a bit of a joke.
Yes. It's good. So obviously now that he has the snorkel, he's not going to take damage from water. It can also be useful for wolf movement, especially as we're able to charge through water, and that can be nice. So from here, I guess the question is where we're gonna go. There's a couple more checks that are on this level of logic. There's a couple things that are on the new level of logic of flight. I assume entrance is your next stop?
Yep, I'm gonna go down to the entrance, back to the... I didn't want that.
Secret area right above the start of the game.
That too, but there's a one check I need to do in this area.
At Vanilla.
Yep.
So again, just backtracking. This game has a lot of backtracking, which is why we want things like light, which is why we want fast movement, which is why we want library cards and duplicators and mana prisms to make things just a little bit less of a numb slog. There is a teleporter here as well.
Oh,
I don't know whether or not SVJ is going to grab it.
Oh, I am. I have to come back here.
I was going to say, okay, perfect. I was going to say there's another piece that he has to come back and grab, which is the Strike Breaker room. Unfortunately, he's not in a position with the equipment he has to cheese it.
Nope.
Yeah, this game is very pretty. It's a very fun game. I would argue that the castle in Aria is probably smoother to navigate through, though.
There are a number of things that we look at as, I mean, the bat movement in this versus the bat movement in Aria. Aria has very, very buttery, smooth bat movement. There's some jank.
Quirky.
Yeah, sure. Let's call it quirky.
Quirky.
But at the end of the day, it's a game that has aged incredibly well. When you hear this game is 25 years old, it's hard to believe. And again, it did a lot of things really, really well. It did Metroidvania as a theme really well. It did a lot of interesting, deep. There's hundreds of items that you aren't going to see on every playthrough, and it makes you appreciate the depth of the game. Playing the randomizer, seeing some of these items that you may not have had before. It's also just really well tuned in terms of controls. Compared to its predecessors, especially I think the game previous to this, realistically was Super Castlevania 4, I believe, or Dracula X Chronicles on the Saturn. So you're seeing the super jump there, and perfect pictures of Dad, Power of Sire. We definitely want to see that at some point. Oh, perfect.
Before this.
Yep.
Daddy!
Right before Symphony of the Night was Bloodlines.
Bloodlines. Thank you.
Yes.
So yeah, as you can see, a picture of Dearest Dad pops up on screen, and that scares the Jesus out of absolutely everyone. Very, very nice for all the little enemies.
But actually, Vlad the Impaler, if you're curious.
It looks like it belongs on a playing card.
Yes, it does. It's pretty funny. Oh!
So I was gonna say, if he didn't have the super doing he's messed himself. But yeah, there we go, Flame Star. One of the things about the Merman is once you've jumped on the Merman, there's another $5, sir.
So if chat wants to donate more, they can get the sword in use. Or we can stick with the bat. I'm fine with the bat.
Yeah. So once he jumps on Merman, the relevant lift here will only lift once Merman is on it. That's to prevent the soft lock in the game, or to prevent an issue. And yeah. So now we're going to see entrance check. Ooh, Covenant Stone is a nice equipment. Just an extra 15 damage off the top.
Doozy, I don't know the sword glitch with the sword card, so sorry, man. I mean, you could donate anyway, but I wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, something worth noting. So, Doozy is making a reference to shop glitch. This is where you essentially sell something that you're wearing. You end up with 254, or whatever the stack overflow is, or underflow is. You sell off all of those items, and you're able to purchase the most expensive stuff. Not as useful in this because we already have a duplicator. Pictures of Dad, mana prisms, library cards, buffalo stars, everything we want to see. Oh, and it's one of the 2 rando rings. So we have pretty much everything we'd want for the shop. So you just picked up Silver Ring. Silver Ring is one of a pair of rings that is required to open the floor in the clock room that we've already seen a number of times. It could be part of the next progression item. It's difficult to tell because there are a number of things that could be on this level of flight. But it is a strong contender. We're going to see a second loop of Alchemy Lab now as well.
Yep. Do we have any donation? Do you guys have that up? Or?
I do not have it up.
If you've donated, you can do ! donate, and you can do the awesome donations to MAGFest. Child's Play is a great charity. Worth every penny.
Just for a moment, I guess. When I was a kid, I spent time in the Toronto Hospital for sick kids, and I woke up one morning in grade 2, and I lost like 40% of my vision. We didn't know what was going on. I spent a fair amount of time in the hospital, and the only thing I remember is playing Nintendo games with the other kids there. And it makes a huge difference having things like that in hospitals like that. And just, if you're able to donate, please do.
Not sure if we touched upon it, but Old Man Sunshine did donate $20 saying needs more Vorpal.
If I find a Vorpal sword, I will gladly use it because it's one of my favorite weapons. If I find his big brother Crisagrum, I will use that too.
Unlike in Final Fantasy Randomizer, where we joke about how good the Vorpal may actually be, it's actually pretty good in this game.
Oh yeah.
Maybe not the best sword, but a pretty good sword.
I mean, what... Besides the Crisagrum, what is the best sword in this game?
It's probably one of the ones that helps you cast the Alucard shield spell. So, for
that's
those who
technically a stick.
No. The Moblung sword.
Oh,
sure.
That's true.
So, for those not familiar, if you use the Moblung sword or the shield rod at the same time you use one of the shields, every shield has a unique spell associated with it. In the case of the Alucard shield, what that means is every time you run into an enemy with the Alucard shield, it'll deal 255 damage or so, restore hearts, and give you 8 HP. So
I did not know about the sword.
It's very, very
Isn't that on like every 3rd frame or 6th frame or something?
Yeah, it slices through Drac like butter.
Yeah,
But
it's
we've got
mincemeat.
we've got summon monster vials, which is even better.
The shield rod Alucard's shield is like the slap chop of Castlevania.
I've actually
Yes.
never used summon monster files on Dracula.
There's also
this
some
will be
other
fun.
spells which are pretty useful. You can have the fire shield does a triple spiral of the fire can deal a huge amount of damage to non-fire resistant bosses. Medusa will summon a couple beams that go out. Skull Shield shows a single beam that goes across. Iron Shield is part of the glitchless run. It's that good, and it just deals slashing damage across the screen. So a number of viable options with the shield rod.
Ooh, we have 3 of the VLODs right now, but even if we got all 5 here, we still need the holy glasses to be able to get through to the next part of the game anyway.
Absolutely.
Plus, of
something
course-
else worth noting.
Well, I was just going to say, even if we could actually get into go mode right now, we have to go kill every boss because that was donated for.
Absolutely. One of the things that I just wanted to note about the clock room that we went through is the clock to all rocks goes up. It goes in and out on even and odd cycles respectively. So that area is not always accessible. However, if you're coming down from the top, as long as you're staying in the top half of the room, it will not change. So that is a strategy that is sometimes employed.
No!
The long hazardy fall.
That's the fall of shame right there.
Can't you tell that he plays this game a lot?
Alright, so we're going to make our way over to Succubus. That sword up there may actually be the Moblung. So it might be worth checking on the way back. This is a great area of the game because you're going to get 5-6 item checks really quickly, as well as the relic. It's a bit out of the way, but if you're not racing, it's a nice treasure trove.
This seems like a perfectly normal coffin to sleep in.
It still
Everything else
gives you a health pack when you sleep in it.
Yeah, and so we're going to see a nightmare here where Alucard is is experiencing the scene of his
That
mother's
voice.
death.
Alucard,
Sort of.
it's you.
I'm coming, Mother. I'll save
Considering the
you.
fact that she's hanging by just her arms,
No,
she sounds
Alucard,
really good.
Don't come here.
But Mother,
The bat isn't buying it.
It's all right. If my death can save others, I'd gladly surrender my life.
Mother, no! Please, no!
Yes, Alucard. Watch me die, and remember always my last words to you.
Yes, Mother.
You must
What's
despise humans. They are to be your prey.
What?
Better for them to
So it's
die
worth
than
noting
to
that
let
this
them
is actually
compound their
it
sins.
seems like this is a throwaway
Begin by
scene,
slaying that
but it's
one
actually
over
referenced
there.
in the last dialogue
it
of the
wasn't
game.
like this.
What's wrong? Alucard.
My mother never said such a
What she
thing.
says here is actually
What
not
do
what
you
she said
mean?
in reality
Kill
for
them and
the
bring them
continuity here.
happiness.
This whole sequence does actually
No,
tie
you're
into the
not my
true
mother.
past for
What kind of demon are
Alucard,
you?
Lisa, Dracula. It's all very a formative part of the plot line of the whole the Castlevania series.
I like that.
Demon, death is too good for you.
Come here,
That's a
little
different
boy,
boss.
And
show
we're about
me
to see the
what you
succubus
got.
just get owned.
Just get destroyed.
I love that the bat starts to fight. Bat's on your side. And the bat almost finished it. Good
Yeah.
bat.
Kill Steel, SVJ, come on.
No.
Alright, so we're
No.
gonna get the... Oh, we're not gonna
No,
pick
we're
up
not
Spirit
getting
Candle?
oh,
Alright.
gross, nasty. No, we're not getting that.
So the Spirit Candle does show you the damage that you're dealing. It could be useful on item stat randomization and seeds.
This sword up
Not
here.
necessarily
I mean,
useful here.
we'll see. If this is the Moblung Silver, don't do that.
Yeah, if it's the Moblung, it's the Moblung and the Luminous both have a very similar. There you go. You now have Moblung.
Let's say
and-
Alucard.
There you go. So this is the Shield Rod spell with Alucard Shield.
Yeah,
And now he's just stupidly powerful.
And you're also going to pay for those dashes with mana. But as you can see, it does deal damage, and it does regenerate hearts and HP MP. So you're going to demonstrate the use. Excellent.
I didn't see anything. Oh, because I didn't do it.
It'll only.
I didn't
show
deal
on,
damage to anybody. That's right.
An enemy.
I don't have a
So
lot
again,
of MP to
one of the
spare.
things to keep in mind is as he's shield dashing, he's now getting mana as a result of the spell. So I'd say it's something he has to watch out for. But he also has infinite mana prisms with the duplicator, so it's not that important. Yeah, you can see 251 damage, absolutely busted. You can stand in place, and this is going to make very, very quick work of the super boss as well, which is Galamoth, or the closest thing this game has to a super boss.
He's the only one that's anywhere near difficult, and even in this game, once you figure out what his trick is, it's pretty easy to deal with him.
Yeah, there's a couple ways to set that seat up nicely. Another one of the reasons why we like the Moblung Sword is it increases our defense even further, which, you know, again, given the luck mode start, not great.
Now, I believe the one trick is if he does actually run out of mana, the spell stops and he'd have to recast it.
Correct.
That is correct, and you also have to recast when you enter, once you go to the second part of the game. You have to recast. I can't recall why that happens, but it is turned off. So we're gonna see fire a bat check, I assume.
Yep, that's where we're going.
All right. Are you gonna go through Clock Tower
Yep.
to keep? Or
Yep. You can go do it.
Excellent, showing off the second best room in the game. Alright, so we're on the outer wall right now, and we're going to be making our way to Clock Tower.
Quick detour.
With the MP refilling save, I assume.
No save. Just no save.
Yeah, just the MP. So there's a relic here up top. Then he's going to check really quickly. There's also a couple items here, but quite honestly, I don't know if items are meaningful anymore because they have the best equipment in the game. And it's Echo of Bat, which not always terrible to pick up for sure if you're not comfortable with Blind Bat.
With all these powers that we've gotten, the wolf, the soul, the mist, and the bat, we don't actually have their souls yet, so we're not able to use any of that.
Okay, and he's grabbing the life apple too, which is definitely worth picking up as a safety. So for those, so for everyone to be aware, a life apple is utilized by the fairy or sprite familiar. You can't use it yourself, and upon death, it will resurrect you with full mana and HP. So this clock tower is a pain sometimes with the Medusa heads, but nothing wrong here. The very small labyrinth of hallways and corridors and staircases. And there's going to be another boss here across from him. So, and the healing mail check for whatever reason.
Why not? Well, it was there.
I mean, you've got the Alucard shield and the duplicator, and library cards. I think you're good.
You gotta find that Crusader. I mean, we don't need it, but it's all.
We absolutely don't need it.
So one of the interesting things too about these are always use items. They're never.
Say hi to a boss.
Yeah.
What?
Say bye to a boss.
What?
I mean, the one thing to keep in mind is this isn't just very good now. This is going to remain very good for the entirety of the run.
Yeah.
in vanilla, you're not getting your Alucard. Okay, if you're not cheating, you're not getting your Alucard shield back until Reverse Caverns. There's another $5, and there's our fairy card, so we now have the ability to use our life apples. So looking less and less like there's going to be a second death. There's another check down here, which is Power of Mist. You can get past the really annoying RPG jerk birds.
You can donate to switch the familiar we're using.
This could be a little bit tricky with this kind of fight. Obviously, you'd want to have something else like Mr. Bat. There's our other gold ring.
There's that.
It looks like gold and silver ring we're on the next level of complexity and likely hold our next check.
Now this is an all boss mode, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Richter's a boss.
Are you gonna do Richter?
Richter's a boss.
It just means you actually have to like go kill all the bosses.
Richter's a boss, technically.
Well,
Okay. I mean, this is gonna be. This is what. Okay,
Yeah,
so
we'll
for
kill him later.
those of
We'll
you,
kill him in a minute. Never mind. Shh, shh, shh.
all right. So right now he could go to Richter and fight Richter and kill Richter, and that's what's referred to as the bad ending of this. You know, there's meme runs. There's the community sometimes run them as interims while we wait for other people to ready up. It's not the way that you're intended to beat the game. There's more to the plot than that, and we're gonna see more of what that entails as we go through this. So again, making use of a lot of the teleports in high complexity seeds, in guarded seeds, it's really nice to have that teleport by all rocks. You will be coming back here many, many times. All rocks fight, the 2 rings, the gravity boost check, all of this is important stuff. And it's very unlikely that you'll be able to route it in all at once at the same time. So many returns. It's worth getting that teleporter as early as you can, in my opinion. Oh, something else that's just because we're wearing both rings, this is gonna wind down the clock so both hands are at the 6. It's gonna ring 13 times and then it's gonna open the floor. So we have a bit of time. Soten inventory does not allow you to discard items. So there's, even though he doesn't need it, it makes sense for SVJ to not pick up stuff he doesn't need because it's going to be a giant pain later when he's scrolling through the menu.
yeah, they didn't actually let you start selling items until Harmony?
Yes, I think that was the first one. And even then, I mean... Yeah, there's just some good options here. He's equipping the library card. He's going to want to warp out of here, or not. That's probably just worth checking. So Merman statue is a giant pain, usually, at least casually.
Do I really need
Malbung?
I don't need it.
Okay.
It all goes down.
I'm gonna avoid saying stuff. That's fine. One of the things we're gonna go to now is Merman statue, which requires the item he just picked up to check. We can get to it, but there's a gate that that we'll see that the ferryman needs to open. It's only openable with the Merman statue, otherwise he won't appear where we're going.
Right.
We're getting into complexity 7 with this now. If you're sitting there going, man, this duplicator is overpowered. Well, it is overpowered. You're not meant to have it until, like, the end game.
You're not even meant to have it at the end game. It's supposed to require huge amounts of farming in order to get it. Yeah.
Oh, I lost my clock!
Sub-weapon is.
Darn it!
You did.
It doesn't matter what your sub-weapon is. You have a duplicator in
Yeah, the second doppelganger is dying no matter
my
what.
claw, I don't know what time it is now!
Go back to the big clock in the middle of the castle.
Too far.
So yeah, the floor here is breakable.
With Dad's face.
There we go. And now that we have the ferryman, or the merman statue, the ferryman will come here. If we don't have it, this will not be accessible, and the big iron door that we're going to see in about 15 to 30 seconds on the right-hand side would not open.
You could argue that the mermaid statue summoning the ferryman is kind of a sly reference to Castlevania 2 with the various relics you had to show to the ferryman to get him to take you to different places.
Yeah, it's pretty fishy.
You absolutely could, and I will leave the CV2 reference to Freeland, who is another member who actually speedruns CV2. All I know is there's something about an orb and kneeling, and it is a really, really early Metroidvania for sure.
Yes.
Yes.
What I tend to call on my website the proto-Metroidvania, that one, and Vampire Killer. Although if you go through the Konami back catalog, there's a lot of other ones like YY World and, to a certain extent, the Getsafuma. Oh yes, the dog. But yeah, Konami liked to really tinker with the NES Metroidvanias, and their influence can be felt on the series long past the point where they stopped actually building on the Castlevania itself until Symphony of the Night.
I'd just like to say I love how much deep lore you have on this. This is amazing. So yeah, we're going with the boat ride bat. The doggo's there. So the wolf is important now because there's a section we're going to go to for, again, All Rock's teleporter.
Love that so hard.
The only reason why I did that is for you, buddy.
Because you know I laugh every time.
Yep, I was really happy that was there.
So the wolf gets us through a transformation space, and in order to reach All Rocks, we have to be able to transform into bat, mist, or wolf. Whichever is the first one grants us access to the space.
That's where we'll be headed next.
Yeah.
Putting on a little show here.
Zigzag zog. Yeah. And again, you can see that those gravity boots are just super nice. There's other seeds where your flight comes in the form of mist or bat, and climbing things like that are just incredibly slow and tedious. So it's nice to have the grav boots as our method of flight. Doesn't matter.
It matters.
It
matters. I don't look. 50's right. It does not matter, but it matters.
Oh, I meant like you're probably going to find another one at some point.
Oh, eventually, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right, so back to the locker room. Yeah. So again, like I mentioned, the cycle on that is on even minutes. So if he checks his menu, we'll know how long we have to wait here. Okay, so we have 40. We have about 40 seconds to wait for that to happen. It will not progress while you're in the menu. So it means we're gonna hear a lot of TikToks.
Good job for donations.
This is one of the other items that the randomizer community is very interested in. Is as you route this becomes if this is open, it can be a really nice way to get back up to a teleporter, especially after you get the item at the Vanilla Holy Glasses location, which is where the rings allowed us to check. It's inconsistent though, and so if there's a way using a second controller to allow this to unlock, it could be really, really. It could have a fairly large impact on routing in the community in the game.
And Alucard doing his burpees was making me tired.
What else has he got to do?
I love how the bat is still showing up to try and do work. Good job, bat.
That's the best.
We haven't found the best familiar in the game yet.
That would be for you.
That would be the demon and his button fetish.
The demon or the nose devil?
He does have a button fetish. That's true. Oh, this button! I should press this.
A switch. I'll try pressing it. Yeah, so there's if you noticed when we were in the caverns, there was a spot that had a switch, or what looks like a switch, kind of, in that it looks like a square with a circle in it. If you have a if you have a Demon Familiar or the Nose Devil card, it will open that and allow you to check just a couple other items. In the vanilla game, it can be useful because it gets you the Ring of Ares. In Randomizer, it's generally not worth the effort.
And for those curious, the Demon and the Nose Devil are functionally the same. The Demon and Nose Devil, and then the Fairy and whatever the alternate Fairy arc is called.
Sprite.
Sprite, thank you. They're the two alternates are just references to Japanese comedians that really don't make any sense to American audiences, so they removed those, and while they're added back here in the randomizer, they exist.
Yeah, so as you can see, we need to be able to fit through that narrow space. Dracula has cleverly decided that only small things can face one of his generals. Good old Uncle Orlox, a demon who
He's the boss.
happens to
Don't doubt that.
live around here. And what you saw there is his shield rod spell actually ran out, so he's going to have to recast it. It's a function of either you run out of MP or you've used it too much. Which is another hazard of shield dashing with the Alucard shield spell. Nice to see him take some damage to the face. But unfortunately, it's not a real threat to him.
No, not a real threat.
Ow!
It was only 24 damage.
I'm
You're
not rooting
fine.
against you. I'm rooting for charity.
Well, how about I don't use that combo on Galmuth and we'll see how many times I die.
Oh God. I think
My
that's a
wallet's
great
not
idea.
that deep, dude.
Okay,
Hey.
so now we have Soul of Bat. Soul of Bat is what we really, really like for two reasons. First of all, it gives our Bat Familiar a friend.
Well, yeah. That's the thing.
As
If you
can
watch
see,
the
heart
bat,
came out.
he falls in
It's a
love
very
with you.
It's a very cute, small interaction. That there's just a lot of things in this game that are very well. If you stand still too long, the Fairy Familiar will sit on your shoulder, and when you move, you knock her off. Little tiny things that really bring a lot of charm to the game. Why we care about that, really, though, is this, the zooms of the Wing Smash, and you can chain them together to make an infinite Wing Smash, as long as you have the mana for it. And with the mana prisms that we have and the duplicator that we have, not going to be an issue.
With that said, the infinite wing smash takes practice, and for a casual, is very difficult to pull off because it's essentially a difficult Street Fighter move that you have to do, and you have to do it once every 60 frames or something?
Yeah, so just quickly, if you don't mind, SVJ, can you actually pull up the shield or the spell in the menu just to show that command? So if you go to spells, you can see the Wing Smash is actually holding X and then up and 3/4 circle and letting go. So bottoms, and you have to do that every couple seconds. Like you were saying, it can be a really difficult thing to pull off.
Because doing it too early or too late means it doesn't actually happen. Yeah,
and even the best players are better left versus right or right versus left, depending on the way that they're going, because you have to do the circle differently. Some people choose to do spells like that on the D-pad versus the analog stick. It's again, it's all personal preference, but it's really interesting to see how fast we're going to be going in the very near future with that Wing Smash.
SVJ got 2 in a row, and that's better than I've ever managed.
Yeah, I mean, I'd consider myself a fairly casual racer. I can get to maybe 3, and that's accompanied by at the end of it. So,
although worth noting, if you can get the wolf up to speed, the wolf is faster transport than the bat. You just, of course, he bangs into crap, and it's not always easy to control.
Yes, and one of the things that's interesting about some of the other presets that are there, like the lycanthropy speed, is you actually start with the wolf. It costs less mana, and you have all the wolf relics, so you'll see less typical movement or movement that you don't always see in those kinds of seeds, and that's fun to me. And then I think there's a reason why that exists.
Wolf's great fun for like a casual playthrough. Wolf is an absolute blast to just run around with.
Absolutely. And we're about to see, are you going to try Blind Bat, or are you just going
to
go straight in?
I'm going to go straight in.
Okay. So, that's okay. SVJ is going to be using echo of that here to navigate the spike room. It's possible to navigate the spike room blind, and there's a couple of methods that involve certain setups or counting wing flaps. There's a number of ways that it can happen, and it just lets you cheat this out of logic. You can also make your way through if you have Mist and Power of Mist, enough hurts, refreshes, or the Spike Breaker armor.
Which in theory you're supposed to get here, but we're doing it in the opposite order.
Yeah, this is definitely not not vanilla. Although you may get the Spike Breaker here. No, it's Holy Glasses. Okay.
Okay, so that's our
Go ahead.
that's our complexity 7, or is that 8 at this point?
Well, we can count it out, right? So we first had Leapstone on 1, and then Jewel of Open. Jewel of Open got us Flight with Gravity Boots, which got us the Rings at 4. Rings got us Merman at 5. Merman got us Wolf. Wolf got us Bat, and Bat got
What can I do for you?
I'm interested.
Thank you.
This game is fun. Look at all the counting.
I'm interested in this.
One of the other things too, that's
Thank you.
interesting about how the logic works. We're gonna have to wear the holy glasses and progress to another castle. It's very likely that we're gonna have to. It's actually guaranteed that we're gonna have to come back based on the relics that are still outstanding. We're gonna need Mist, and very different than the way the game is intended to be played initially, or at least casually.
Yeah, this is the power of the wolf. He is fast, he dashes, and the nice thing about him is, unlike with the bat, you don't have to do a complex command for him. You tell him to run, and he just runs.
Yep, you can double tap right to get them up to speed, or you can immediately get up to speed with the quarter circle punch. Everybody knows how to Hadouken; it's worth it. The other thing too with the wolf movement is if you're dashing as a wolf and you hold the bat transform and maintain your wolf, you'll actually get all of that momentum as you transform into bat, and you will go much faster as the bat.
I need to interrupt for a second.
Go ahead.
SVJ, you need to turn on the sword. Cat Ears Karain donated $20 to let poor Swordy out. Meow.
Dirty. He just wanted me to he wanted me to pull out my saber.
After dark.
Yep. So other instances, backdashing into the bat or kicking into the bat will also preserve the momentum and be how you see things go faster. So SVJ is going to hopefully equip the Holy Glasses here.
What?
I've watched some of the top end runners do some of the bat techniques and the bat into mist transitions to go back and forth through like complex stairwells. That's really interesting to watch.
This is not how you beat the game. What?
Magnificent.
Yeah.
But now.
So this
feel
is the
my
bad ending that we had talked about
wrath.
previously.
He's the boss.
Without equipping.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's over,
He's actually absorbing all of that holy damage. And this is what we're going to call the bad ending. Or obviously, we're going to reset, but he has beat the Richter boss. Richter is not intended to be beat this way. You're supposed to wear the holy glasses, which you were in vanilla receiving from Maria. And you'll notice that he's being possessed by an evil curse. And you're going to attack the source of that curse. Hopefully. There are a number of instances. Yeah, I was going to say there are a number of instances, especially with Alucard Shield, where you can accidentally kill Richter. You do a lot of damage.
I've done it.
Absolutely.
Quote unquote accidentally, sure.
He was. So that's one way of dealing with it. You can also Soul Steal, Summon Spirit, Tetra Spirit, all good options because they can increase the number of hits on it. Generally
Both
speaking,
still good.
Yeah.
Don't die.
What?
There we go.
There we go.
So it was actually Shaft, and not the detective from the 1970s movies.
I hear he's one bad mother.
Shut your mouth.
Yes. This is also one bad mother. But this is a bad mother who is trying to resurrect Count Dracula by summoning the other half of this castle, which, if we didn't skip past the cutscene, you'd see that it's actually an inverse. So this is the big twist in the game. If you didn't know this as a kid, like I didn't, it blew your mind when you saw it for the first time. The idea of, oh shit, I have a whole other castle to do. So, very, very, very awesome. One of the best twists if you haven't been exposed to it before. So there are a number of bosses here. We are looking for progression, but we're also going to be doing all bosses, so we're going to see a lot of things. Yeah. Just a reminder that you're going to have to recast your Alucard Shield spell because you've moved to Castle 2.
What? What kind of garbage is that?
Malbong.
I know, I'm looking for it. They need a sort function in this game. That would just be great.
Well, there is.
You just
press square. If you're in your inventory and you press square, you can sort it. Yeah.
I know that.
You could just play the Saturn version and have 3 hands.
Yeah, but then you're playing the Saturn version, and if you're playing
So you've really just lost at that point.
No. I love the Saturn version. It's the only way. It's the only version you're able to play as Maria, who has a lot of really interesting abilities.
The Saturn version of her is different from the PSP version, and I do appreciate the differences.
Yes, and there's another $5 on another card.
We got another card? Nice.
Yep, we got the demon card.
Remember, chat, you can donate to switch out the cards at any time.
So he's grabbing the first teleport here. It's worth noting these teleports don't link to the other castles, so if he wants to go back, he either has to use a library card, which would be way more efficient, or he has to come back to here and use the teleporter that he came from, which was the upside down version after the Richter fight.
Cool. I like you dashing through all of that. I like you dashing through all that, and at the end, just kind of sauntering off as the wolf at the end. Like,
Gonna go here for an empty refill. I don't know if you're gonna save. It doesn't necessarily matter. You've got. You're pretty busted.
I guess it's just in case, though.
Yeah. Heading over to the Medusa fight. So Medusa can potentially get him stoned, but unlikely to actually inflict any real damage. I love seeing the wolf charge here. Always awesome.
she lasted
So we're
longer than
noting
many of the
that-
other bosses.
Yeah, it's worth noting that it actually only deals 119 damage to that. Medusa
Hey, there's
does-
another one. Nose Devil! 2 of the same sword, or card, basically.
It's basically the devil card or the demon card with the big
So,
fake nose on it.
as we're going through the castle to get some of the deep lore going on here, we would be collecting the 5 parts of Vlad if we were in the vanilla game, which is a reference to Castlevania 2, where you had to collect the 5 parts of Dracula, or realistically, 4 parts of Dracula and his 1 piece of bling. But to then rebuild Dracula and resurrect him at the end of Castlevania 2 to fight him and save the land again. Here you're doing
and it has. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, here you're doing a similar thing, and the interesting thing to note is that the Vlad items are guarded by versions of the bosses from Castlevania 1.
And it doesn't have the awesome puns that came in the manual. So, making his way through Reverse All Rocks, he's going to be fighting Aquadon 2. Aquadon is a zombie. Things can go bad here. As you can see, Castle 2 has item or has enemies that deal a fair amount of damage.
Substantially more powerful.
Yeah.
Like, if you're
Substantially
here
more
casually, you can have problems with that cathedral climb, for example.
Yes, the cathedral climb is absolutely a giant pain in a lot of cases.
Maddening, yeah.
And it's fortunate he got the holy water before this fight. Not that he needs it, obviously, with all of his massive gear, but it is something that does a lot of damage to Akmadon, and so does the Alucard shield.
So we saw Medusa, we've seen Mummy. If you know your Castlevania bosses, we will eventually see the Bat, Death, and Frankie as well.
We saw.
We
And
already
then-
killed Pat.
Yeah, we've already
Of
killed
course,
that.
right.
That's right there.
We killed Bat. I missed that one
screw it.
because it went so quickly. So,
Of course, an echo can be nice for checking pots.
I thought about it. And I was like, sure.
yeah. Frankie and Death are the ones that we're still looking for then. Of course, there's other bosses as well that don't tie into that, but that's the lore.
You can't change it. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, at this point, it's probably worth keeping the Mana Prism on, because he's going to be doing a lot of horizontal and vertical movement, which will use up, and the shield obviously will also just use up a lot of mana.
Magic all the
If you
time.
if you didn't have the Mana Prisms, this is a game that takes mana management quite seriously and requires a lot of planning and conservation in certain cases.
Especially if you're playing on like a speed run mode. Like if you're a casual, you'll have so many levels because they're so easy to get that your mana doesn't matter quite as much. But
I believe that was 3 IW or Wing Smashes in a row.
Yeah,
this was
that's
very pretty.
awesome.
Yeah.
Good job. So you'll see the seasoned runners, the Dragon Blitzes, the Dinner Dogs. They'll just IWS across entire hallways, no problem. Again, everything here hits like a truck. And we're gonna go see some of our friends.
I always do that.
So
And this is yet another lore thing here.
Rio, yeah.
So if you played Castlevania 3, then you know that Alucard was one of 4 heroes along with Trevor Belmont and Santi Belmontes and Grant the Nasty.
Hey,
Here we have these guys. Well, these are zombified fake versions of them. So,
Ouch.
and they died quick. They don't
They
count
died
towards our doppelganger count for number of money we're casting because they're not Alucards.
Yeah, and the other thing to keep in mind too with that fight is that the last person standing has special abilities that only trigger when they're the last person available. So, for example, Trevor has a big ass cross that he throws, but he only throws it when Sypha and Grant are dead. Sypha will reanimate Grant. There's really, it's the little things that they did in the boss fights, the little bits of gameplay that just. For me, turn the game up to an 11. This climb here is notoriously difficult to get a wing smash through. In addition to all of the gremlins and the imps here that are being a pain in the keister, it's also MAGFest. So we have not
As you can
helped
see.
obviously by the pictures of Dad. But a lot of enemies on screen, a lot of particle effects, things that just eat the heck out of the resources of the game. And we're going to be moving over to good old Beelzebub. Yes, the MAGFest for MAGFest.
It's MAGFest, not LagFest.
Yeah, so again, you can see even with all of the extra health power-ups that he's taken, he's still well under 300 HP. And with the duplicator impacting his defense, not always great. Boring fact, that door is actually the wrong way around for considering everything's inverted. But they only have the one animation. So this is Beelzebub, going to be very, very quick. Should be one more round. There you go.
He can be a difficult boss to fight casually because you're supposed to attack his core, but getting to his core, you kind of chop off the limbs because they're there. They're the obvious targets, and then there's bees flying around everywhere, constantly harrying you. If you don't know what you're doing, he can be one of the more difficult bosses of this game.
You're right, and he poisons too, and poison is a status we haven't really had to deal with. We dealt with Curse. Poison, one, prevents your MP from refilling, so you won't be able to get off things like Soul Steal to replenish your health. But it also increases the damage that you take. So things that hit hard hit even harder. And that boss can be an absolute nightmare. Things can go very wrong very quickly.
I don't know if you want to keep your duplicator on right now or not with how much damage you're taking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let him die.
Let him die.
Okay.
I mean, these guys will do what? Only 47 damage.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, they're also really easy to avoid, theoretically. It's when you drop a wing smash into the
In the middle of them? Yeah.
The Moon Lords here. Like these guys, these are bad news bears. They could deal a lot of damage. So again, we're seeing reverse clock tower. The only way to open the reverse clock tower, as Dark Moon EX was saying, is with the 5 Dracula relic. The ring, tooth, heart, rib, and eye of Vlad, which we are currently questing the castle to get.
Ouch.
I saw that one coming.
These Nova Skeletons are very fragile. They're glass cannons. They hit like a truck.
That one is stone. I was not using it. Using a
Yeah,
ring of fire for some reason. Ouch.
They're incredibly strong. They will shoot a laser beam out of their chest. They're also iconic and have shown up in several games after this one in the series.
That will kill me, by the way.
If I recall correctly, they play a fairly big role in the Order of Ecclesia speedruns as well. That was a really interesting entrance into the Castlevania block.
I do like the complexity of the later Metroidvanias once they got onto the DS.
Yes, the DS-Vanias are quite good.
Yes.
So
And they have their own randomizer.
There are a couple more bosses up, but what we want to do first is head over to Creature. We typically say always skip Creature or always bet Creature. It's a meme within the community, but because this is an all bosses run, we can't skip Creature.
Generally, just because of his placement and what it takes to get over to him. Creature's bait.
Ouch.
Yeah, oftentimes Creature is very out of the way. It either consumes your mana prisms if you don't have infinite mana prisms, or it just takes a lot of your time if you don't have bat. There's a lot of reasons why we don't like to go to Creature. There's routing and opportunities to leave it to last. But again, we're doing an all bosses run, so it's time to show him the Alucard shield.
That was 8 wing smashes in a row. That was hot.
Thank you. Oh, thank you again.
And going left too. I feel like left is the harder way.
We should get an $8 wing smash train for that one.
Big flex.
Hey, there's another one.
Ghost card. Ghosty boy.
We're just missing one.
Yeah, we're missing
the Sprite card.
Right.
So that is the only reason we come to the left side of the castle. It's so
bait.
far out of the way, and
It's
bait.
so bait. And he almost never has anything, so. Hashtag never creature.
Yep, ABC always bet Creature has nothing. Okay, so now we're gonna see him go back up to Reverse Caverns. There's a boss fight and a relic check. Vanilla Force of Echo.
ouch.
Oof, those spikes are making mean work of you.
You're not supposed to hit them, right?
Ouch.
Oh!
Oh, still close. Come on. I mean, get out of there. No. Yeah. Like we said, I mean that skeleton did half his health and damage. You know, if he didn't have the duplicator on, it'd deal less, but it still deals a lot of damage.
Only 141. That's a third of my health.
Yeah,
You can take that.
Huge.
Fine.
So a mana refill, and then we're gonna do the really long climb. Fortunately, we have the gravity boots again, so it's not gonna be that long, but it's gonna be, I think, about 10 or 11 gravity jumps, which is just slow.
Up, down, up, down, up, down, yeah.
Down, up, jump. He's zigzagging because he's showing off, so it might actually be 12. But yeah, moving up here. We're gonna have Doppelganger 40 fight.
14.
So yeah, it's gonna be. You're gonna be able to see the opportunity, the tech now of what happens when you hit Dop 40 with an attack. So until he recovers, he's not actually hittable. And so we want to get him in this loop, and that was a fantastic job by SVJ. We basically want to get that AI in the loop of jumping at us, similar to what we would do in the Dop 10 fight, but we had stopwatch for that. And down here we have another relic. We are looking for Mist at this point. Yeah, these octopi are problematic sometimes. They respawn quite quickly. There's our sprite card. We've got the whole set, and that's another $5.
That is.
Yeah, so if you're not careful, you can get juggled by those things into oblivion, which is just not a good time. And now we're going to see the reverse, Force of Echo check. These are Venus Weeds. Again, some of the more risque sprites in the game.
You just caught her while she was changing, blooming, whatever.
And there's actually different varieties of Venus Weeds. There's a white, a blue, and a red, if I recall correctly. Just varying levels of health and damage. Wolf movement down here is really nice. There's another Vlad.
4.
Beauty. So we're now chasing the most complex Vlad, which means typically he can stop looking for other checks. But because this is all bosses, he's going to go all the way to Galamoth anyway. And likely library card from Galamoth, I assume?
That's the one, yep.
Yeah. And then you're going to face, I think, the last boss in the library before we go to Shaft and Drag.
Yep.
Here we go. Showing off a bit of that momentum conservation and transferring back to bat. We're just going to make our way over here for the death fight.
Do we count the Lesser Demon as a boss?
Lesser Demon is a boss in Castle 1 and a regular enemy in Castle 2.
Yeah.
Similar to Karasuman in just outside of Aquadon 2.
I mean, we counted Richter as a boss, even though you're not really supposed to fight him.
Now, Lesser Demon does have boss music, technically.
He has boss music, and also you're locked in the room, so you're going to have to anyway. I mean, assuming so the last Vlad is either going to be at the Vanilla Soul of Bat location in the library or at Silver Ring. But because we're going to warp back with a library card, it just makes good sense to first go to.
God, it's so satisfying watching Slogger die like that. He's such a pain in Castlevania 4.
Or actually, we could see a seed where Soul of Bat is Spike Breaker armor, and Last Vlad would be at Silver Ring.
That'd be funny.
I mean, it's a 200% seed at that point. You're already doing all bosses, so it won't affect you that badly. So Death has 2 forms, as is tradition in Castlevania.
That was a boss.
That was the boss, yes.
Yeah. That can actually be casually a very difficult, but it wasn't. So that relic was just the life max up, so no relic there. So in the bottom left here, that's the switch we were talking about with the demon card that the demon would press. There's one on each castle, regular and reversed.
But we're not worried about an item being there, so...
No, there is another preset of this called Adventure, or Expedition, which is a better version of Adventure, where relics can be found at equipment locations. And so it becomes a much longer time typically in searching for this, and there's a bit more back and forth. And you're going to see a lot more areas of the castle where you wouldn't typically see it.
Alucard getting his fursuit with his furry plate.
Furry plate.
Yeah, it's actually a really good armor. When you take damage, you get additional defense. No need to save or replenish mana here. Yeah, basically just standard stuff coming through reverse catacombs, slowly making his way to... unfortunately, you can't make friends with those bats. Making his way through to Galamoth. So Galamoth is typically a super boss, or the closest thing that this game has to a super boss. Huge HP, huge damage output. If you're under-equipped or not ready for it, you're going to have a bad time. But we are over-equipped and very ready for it.
Substantially over-equipped.
Not even saving. The gall.
It's going to come bite me in the butt is what it's going to do, but that's okay.
God, I hope so.
We'll all laugh.
And the safety cast, just to make sure it doesn't run out partway through. This fight can go bad very, very quickly. There's 41 damage, just not trying. And there we go. Okay. So the other thing to note about the Alucard shield is when it contacts, it gives you a few iframes as well. So that's why he's not taking damage from Galamoth. That's a fight that can typically take a minute and a half to kill with, not busted equipment.
So Galamoth and his fabulous Egyptian-inspired armor originally appeared in the Kid Dracula games as a foe looking to take over the world while Dracula himself was sleeping. Thus, Kid Dracula. Well, it's a little weird the way the characters are named in that game. But anyway, Galamoth was the boss from space that Kid Dracula had to fight. Showed up in both those games, the Nintendo game, Famicom game, and then the Game Boy sequel. And then aside from showing up here in Symphony of the Night, we don't really get much reference to him again until Judgment, which almost nearly capped the series for a while there.
So we are going to see a seed here that has Spikebreaker okay, so he's just not going for it. Excellent. So
I have to go back for the boss, but I'm going to have some fun.
Yeah.
A nice transition. I like that.
So we'll see it later, but there's a section above the shop where there is another relic in there. It's going to be Spikebreaker. We know that based on how the logic has worked on this seed. Fortunately, there are other ways to cheese our way through that gate and not actually require Spikebreaker.
I like that. I like the personally.
I love it.
Yeah, I want to thank Cat Ears Terrain for showing me this trick.
Yeah, very cool. So we'll explain the trick when we get there, but for now, all you need to know is this is it's become a staple in Randomizer.
I've seen this done a couple times by some of the runners. It's cool to watch.
Elixir should do it.
Yeah, no, I need a mana prism. What I want.
Oh, okay.
Mana prism will work too.
Yeah. Yeah, so we are going to need a specific use item. There are a number of options that work, but It has to be a use item that gives us invincibility frames. Mana Prism is one. Any kind of healing item. Uncurse is another one that also works. So there's a couple options. Again, Wolf really showing off what it's great for here, which is that that horizontal movement. That's good too, but nothing wrong with showing off a little bit of Wolf.
Wolf is effortless.
Absolutely. So we have Mist, which allows us to ignore spikes. We can fly between them here as the bat.
Usually.
We can try to fly in between these as the bat.
I pressed the wrong button. That's my fault.
That's all good. And then when he unwarps here, or transforms here, he's going to use his use. Ooh. Oh no! When did you save last?
Quite some time ago. I have the elixirs.
Yeah, you're good. So, bit of a safety here. He's going to grab the elixir, which is going to heal maximum health.
Wow.
And then, oh wow. If you wing smash and hold
there we
left,
go. Got it.
also works. There we go. Perfect. So what that lets us do is actually open the Jewel of Open door.
Nope. Didn't find him.
A very, very out of sequence Maria there. Here's our last Vlad, the Rip of Vlad. We're still going to make our way back to the library for the third last boss of the game, the pre-pen ultimate, the lesser demon, a truly lesser demon.
Lesser.
Yes.
Far inferior demon.
Yeah, it's going to be a very sad showing, but that glitch there does work. On some presets, it is banned. Guarded OG, I believe, we actually have to have the spike breaker, and we have to get to it legitimately. There are opportunities with other items early on, but without the duplicator, sometimes it becomes non-desirable.
First thing I found.
Yeah, I mean, you're pretty good here. Good old sword bro. Alright, and here is Lesser Demon. He's casting the Sword Brothers spell, which could deal a lot of damage, but you know, it's already dead. Long dead. And down here, we are going to see Spikebreaker. It's faster to warp out with another library card than it is to traverse that space, even with Wolf and Bat. So now we've got all the relics. We beat all the bosses, except for Shafted and Vlad. We are going to make our way back to Second Castle now.
Ouch.
And finish the game.
Another obsidian sword.
Can't go wrong with another obsidian sword.
I tried.
And so we have to traverse once more around this half of the loop. Or at least the teleporter.
Yeah, I was going to say, fortunately, we have the teleporter at Reverse All Rocks, which you'll see is very, very close to the clock room where we need to be, and that's going to save us a lot of time. So again, while we're making our way back, just a couple quick things. If you're interested in the randomizer or running it, or just even watching some races, Soten.io is the place to go to randomize the seeds. It'll set you up. It also has a link to the long library, which is the Castlevania Discord, Lots of resources and kind and wonderful people there to help you get set up.
Yeah, if you like Symphony Tonight and you enjoy it, just something different every time you play it, I highly recommend this randomizer. It's a lot of fun to play.
Yeah, I love that it introduced me to weapons and armor and items that I didn't even know existed in the vanilla game, because there's just so much. Almost every item or almost every enemy drops.
Yeah, my first Ring of Varda was just like, wow. I had to look up where it lived.
For me, it was the Shodel and the Chakram.
Oh, the Shodel and the Chakram, yeah, the Chakram.
Like they're just wow. How did I not know this existed? I absolutely love them. But very cool. You can also randomize the item stats of things that are typically bad can be good and good can be bad. Lots of unique ways to make the game new over and over and over again. It's a little bit different than if you've played other randomizers. It's not a Zelda randomizer. It's really meant to change the replay. It's less of a puzzle that has to be solved a lot of the time, and more of a really it can be, but it's also really good for just casual replays of a game that you've played before and enjoyed. All right, so we get to hear 13 more bongs on the clock. Oh, thanks for posting the Soden.io.
Of course. Yep.
Are we going to see a safety save?
No.
I think you're fine. Yeah. So yeah.
I haven't saved it in 20 minutes.
Very
We're
dramatic.
fine.
Absolutely.
We almost died in that hallway, but it was fine.
Yeah, we're fine.
Badass music for the location. I love it. This music could not be better randomized. Are we gonna see?
We're gonna do the
Power Up
Monster
Siren?
Vials?
Oh no,
Monster Vials Drac, yeah.
Yeah, Monster Vials. I've never seen a Monster Vial. I've never.
It's just spamming, and it's crazy how fast it goes down. I know Dinner Dog was doing some calculations to see whether it's going to be faster than Alucard Shield.
That was the boss.
So that's Shaft, the Dark Priest. He's down for the count. Unfortunately, with his death, Dracula is now revived. We're getting transported into a room that doesn't actually exist in the castle on the map or even on the tracker. It's interesting. And we're meeting up with dear old dad.
Well met, my
and we're
son.
going to beat the crap out
It's
of
been
him.
a long time.
I was hoping we would not see each other again. I can't allow you to leave here, Father.
You have ever been the ally of humans. Have you forgotten?
Has Dracula ever really tried to leave his castle? Like,
Think
he always
you
just kind
I
of
would
plunks
forget
down and then
anything?
dies.
No, but neither
Probably
do
glued
I
to his
seek
throne right
revenge against them.
Eh.
Maybe he's
Still
agoraphobic. You don't know.
uttering the same nonsense. No matter. Now is the
Yeah,
time
and so we're actually not going to
for
fight Dracula
weak
proper.
human side
We're going to
and
fight
join me
chaosy
in
looking
remaking
Dracula.
this world.
Dracula,
Classic,
in the
behold
name of
my
mother,
true form.
I will defeat you again.
I've actually never seen this before, so this is.
Yeah, so you're going to want Monster Vial 1.
Find it. 3.
You can actually just dual wield Monster Vials. It's all good.
Yeah, I thought I had a 1 too.
Yeah, it's
There it is.
on the right there, yeah.
Just keep spamming the crap out of him.
So he suggests that you behold his true form of despair.
Oh my god.
And as you can see, just every single time they make contact with it, it's dealing a huge amount of damage. It's, I think, every frame. And it is impacted by your attack and strength.
Almost dead.
Should be almost on the fight now. There you go.
Go
That's
And that is
hilarious.
time.
Trouble the soul of my mother no more.
I like the Zap Brannigan approach of wave after wave of men.
How is it that I've been
Wave
so
after wave of
defeated?
men.
You have been doomed ever since you lost the ability to love.
Sarcasm. For what profit is it to a man if he gains the world and loses his own soul? Matthew 16:26, I believe.
I'd feel the same way, Alucard.
What were Lisa's last words?
Drawing on Squall
She
from
said,
FF8's
"Do not hate humans. If you cannot live with them, then at least do them no harm. For
Never thought about it that way.
A hard lot."
Yeah.
She also said
Yeah.
to tell you
GG's
she would love
SVJ.
you
That
for
was
all of
a great run.
eternity.
Thank you for those
You
GGs as
showed
well
off
in
a lot
chat.
of really cool tech.
Forgive
I
me.
appreciate you
Farewell,
making
my
some
son.
suboptimal plays to make it a little bit more interesting for everybody.
Oh, it's fun. You know, a lot of these things I haven't seen, like, you know, that poor skeleton just like, oh, man, I love you. Goodbye. 3 deaths, so that's 30. That's $30 from me. No problem.
I think that's pretty awesome. Again, just thank you to everybody in the chat for sticking around.
Yeah, thank you, MAGFAST, for letting me do this. Appreciate it. Thank you, 50 Keys and Dark Moon, for staying up late and going for the run. Thank you all for the donations as well. Yeah.
Oh, and SVJ, I will let this go to your choice for the donation.
I can't really do anything this late at night. Everyone else is asleep over there on the East Coast, so I'll have to donate in the morning, see what they have. So yeah, I owe $30. $30, and I will definitely pay that in the morning. So yeah, definitely donate to Child's Play. Donate to MAGFAST.
So you made it.
Excuse me, it's a great
Alucard,
charity. MAGFAST is
I'm glad
awesome.
You're all right.
I'm sorry.
It was, yeah,
It's my
it's
fault you
a
had
lot
to
of fun.
fight your own father.
And yeah, they will be back
I
in the
had my
morning.
own reasons for
I believe it
destroying
is
him.
10 a.m. in the morning, or 7 a.m. in the
Must have
morning
been
Eastern
painful
time,
for
so
you.
4 a.m.
Indeed.
Pacific time where I'm at.
But
So
you must always
check them back
remember
out. They got a
that the
full
only
schedule
thing
again. I don't have their
necessary
schedule
for
up,
evil
but you
to
can go
triumph
to
is for
MAGFAST,
good men to do nothing.
magfast.com and get that done, or you can go to the Child's Play,
Alucard? What will you do now?
their donation site, and
The
get
blood
that
that flows in
schedule
my
for you,
veins is
and you can
cursed.
find out everything that's going
Could
on
be
tomorrow.
best
And you,
for
of
this
course,
world
go
if I
follow
were to
MAGFAST on
disappear
Twitch.
forever.
Do that, and
I
it's
see.
you'll get everything. So yeah,
Farewell then.
thank you
Yeah,
all.
it
We'll
starts
not
at
meet again.
8:30 a.m. Eastern.
8:30 a.m. So
Alucard?
check them out.
No,
Don't you want to go after him, Maria?
No.
Yeah, 8:30 a.m.
It's best this way. I can't ease his torment.
No
Someday,
one can ease my
perhaps,
torment.
We will meet again. And on that day.
Yeah, so again,
maybe.
thank you, 50 Keys. Thank you, Dark Moon.
I
Thank you
see.
for commentating. Appreciate it immensely.
Let's go. Everyone's
Absolute
waiting
pleasure.
for
Well,
I
us.
hope I didn't annoy too much.
Oh.
Yes.
With
Let's get out of
with
here.
talking too much.
No way, no way. That's all fun. So, yeah, thank you all very much, and we'll see
Have a
you
wonderful evening.
guys too. Thank you all, and again, chat. Thank you very much. We'll see you all 8:30 Eastern tomorrow morning. Sleep well.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah.